So we can start.
Okay, गुरविंदर सर, मैंने आपको अभी एक ईमेल भेजा है,
Okay.
which has 2 PPTs,
Okay.
session 1 and session 2.
I'll
Those
share
are
this.
attachments. Yeah.
ठीक है.
I request you to share the screen and slide number. पहले वो session 1 का थोड़ा डिस्प्ले कीजिए.
Okay, so give me like 2 minutes.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. In the meanwhile, I'll revise the contents that we
Okay,
have discussed in the last class.
Okay.
You can take your time, sir, no problem. So good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all of you to the second session of 87th batch of PG Diploma program. I hope you have um, am I audible? Can we proceed, all of you?
Yes, sir,
Yes,
you're
yes.
audible,
Okay.
but there is some nasal sound, so that you can set mic.
Maybe some disturbance. Okay, I hope you can recall the discussion that we have had in the last class. We were discussing on content theories and we were discussing on process theories as well. Process theories basically speak about the processes that people adopt in life. Yeah, Gurvinder sir, I will send it. I have sent it to diploma@istd.in.
So request everyone to put on mute, sir.
Third one.
I request all of you to be on mute, please.
கட் பண்ணிடுறீங்களா?
Yeah, I have sent it again, sir, Gurvinder sir.
Sir, Vijay, Karthik, Shubham, they are on mute.
अच्छी तो
Everyone, please mute.
Yes, I have muted everyone.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. I hope all of you can recall the discussion that we have had in the last class. We were talking about process theories and content theories. Process theories basically speak about processes that people adopt in their life to achieve something. And content theories, as I was quoting about Roti Kapda Makan, the basic contents that people look forward in life. So these are two theories which are used extensively to understand the motivational levels and motivation reasons for motivation for people. Today we will discuss on what is performance. We will discuss on what is a TNA, training need analysis, and we will also discuss on a training evaluation, why training evaluation should be done and how this should be done. And let me tell you, we are still in module number 1. So all that I will be speaking on today will be from module number 1. So you can keep referring to the contents which are referred in the course book in module number 1. Okay, you will find one model there called the training evaluation model. Kirkpatrick's training evaluation model. You can find that in the course book. You will also find TNA, training need analysis. So we will also be discussing on training need analysis. We will also be discussing on Kirkpatrick training evaluation model. And I have told you in my last class that the sessions will be completely experience oriented or exercise oriented. So be ready mentally to take up a few exercises that I'll be sharing or I'll be offering to you to work on. Is that okay? Good. Are we good to go? So this was a quick revision of what we have discussed in the last class. Okay. Yes, sir. Gurvinder, sir. Yes. Yeah, you can put it on hold and I'll tell you. Then we will highlight on a particular slide. Okay. So one question to everyone to begin with. Um, what is training need analysis? TNA. All of you are training professionals, learning managers, working professionals. So what do you mean by uh, TNA, training need analysis? You can interact.
So
So
it's
training needs.
About
Yes.
Jasprit, you can go ahead.
Jasprit, yes,
Okay.
you can go ahead.
So training need analysis is like what are the needs of the trainees, which can be based on the age and their background and their sectors which they are working, and it can be based on like requirements. Like sometimes they need to learn a specific skill. So for that we can prepare a TNA chart or schedule.
Done. That's great. That's great. Anybody else?
So training need
Raja, I'm
analysis.
just
Yeah, to
Requirements
identify
of
the
training.
gap, identify the gap and trying to bridge that gap, whatever is the skill level which is there, the gaps in
Okay.
the skill level.
Done. Done. That's great. That's great. Right. That's right. Um, can I give you a new TNA to work on today? I know all of you have enough training experience, enough working experience. All of you are practicing managers. You have conducted, organized many training programs. Here is something new for all of you to think on. If we were to design training need analysis in the area of sustainability and climate change, which is changing the business world today, can we do it? If yes, how can we do it? Let me explain this once again. This is a completely new area to think on, to work on, to explore. The new buzzing trend is sustainability and climate change. Now, what is sustainability? Sustainability is ensuring that natural resources are used without depleting or without causing threat to them, and also ensure that the coming generation is left something with for living peacefully, um, uh, comfortably. So that's sustainability. In case we take up all the water resources to produce goods and services, or some goods, some manufacturing product, extensive usage of nearby water resources, you deplete the resources. All right, it's a big harm. The nature is ruined, deteriorated, and the coming generation is left with a dry riverbed or a dry lake bed. Now, this is a phenomenon that is changing the world, that is changing our planet. How many of our employees or how many of your staff members are aware about this changing trend? Is it unconnected to us? Is it connected only to meteorological department or the Ministry of Forest, Climate Change and Environment? Or is it everybody's responsibility? Are we preparing our work force to sort of get on to this new phase of, or make them uh, transient to the new phase of sustainability, because we are living in a sustainable era? All right, now all of you agree that it is everybody's responsibility. All of us are accountable for this. Are your people ready? You will find a very big TNA here. Are our people ready, or how is the staff prepared to handle emergencies? How is the staff prepared to mitigate the climate dangers or the risks of climate change in future? This is one area that all of us need to think on. So this is a new TNA that I want to throw open for discussion, and I want you to think on this for some time. We will come back. I'll give you about 3 minutes to think on. You understand that people should be sensitized about the changing climate scenario, the European heat waves, the changing climate pattern in India, the changing monsoon pattern in India. Because when monsoon changes, the entire business setup changes, because monsoon is just not waterfall from the sky. It means it's a backbone of Indian economy, because you will see many businesses flourishing after monsoon. People want cars to travel in monsoon, so they opt for cars. Umbrella business picks up. The food retail business picks up. The rain jacket, the rainwear sector gets activated. So it actually flourishes a lot of things in the business world, consciously, unconsciously, subconsciously. Many businesses pick up. Okay, agriculture season picks up, so the fertilizer making companies become very active. Sowing season picks up. So many, the academic season picks up. Normally the school start in the month of June, July. So the when I say monsoon, it's just not water drops falling from the sky. It means a different perspective. It's altogether a different dimension. Now, because the climate is changing, the monsoon pattern is changing. Many studies have indicated that the business pattern is also likely to change. Now, given this phenomenon, given this change, is the staff ready to understand this and to handle the dangers of climate risks, or the risks that climate change poses on all of us? It is affecting the health index of many people, the heat waves, the global warming, the changing climate. It's affecting our health index. It's bringing in new diseases. So these are all happening now. Are we all ready? In case we are ready as trained and professional trainers, how are we conducting TNA for this? Can anyone throw open their insights for the discussion here?
Sir, may I?
Yeah, please, please.
Sir, like I have read some days before about the soil movement initiated by Sadhguru. So this is a great initiative. We can make people aware about that. Not many people are aware about that. We are talking about air pollution and many things, but soil movement is really important, because plants and trees are the integral part of the environment and the climate change. So first is that we can create awareness training on soil movement.
Yeah, how do you do it for your own people in your own organization?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was saying that I will make a training module for them on the soil movement, how we can preserve soil, what can be done. And other than that, second will be the plantation part, which can be included with the same training, and how we can plant more trees, how can we take care of them. And carpooling is the other option, which I can create another training on that, how we can save the environment by doing carpooling. And we can also think about the ACs like which we are using. We can also think of that, how we can find the best ways to reduce the air conditioners which we are buying.
So so what is the exact TNA? I mean, how will you understand or how will you conduct TNA for this? Can you throw open a systematic process before us? Namrata, yes. Namrata, you want to say something?
Yeah, come in, sir.
Well, sir, I feel that first we have to start from your own office. Like you said, this is an
Yeah, that's what is
organization
the
I'm
main.
talking about. So first is I will identify what are the present problems and where I can introduce this sustainability. Like you talk about lights, you talk about waste material management. Like, a lot of offices everywhere they're following, the wet waste, this waste, then saving the light, the, AC temperature should not be ever more than 24 degrees up and all. So this has to become a part of the practice, and that must be
Yes. Yeah. Now the point is, all of you are expressing what needs to be done, right?
Yes.
Right. Now I want you to come up with a TNA process for this. Yeah.
May I come in, sir?
May I, sir? Can I try?
Yeah.
Can I try?
Bharati, yeah. Bharat Devi.
Aarti.
Okay, yeah, Aarti.
I'm so
Yes.
sorry. Aarti.
So, Aarti,
Okay.
yes, Aarti.
So I actually have four steps of process. First will
Yes.
be I will be talking about the current situation and challenges. That what exactly are the is the current situation. So let's take an example of how the plastic is impacting the environment. A small example. So we can start from there. We can have an open discussion around it. Then how it is impacting currently, and if not control, how it will impact us in future, like our future generation, how they will be impacted. Precautions, when we talk, the last step will be precautions, as in when we talk about precautions, it needs to be begin with very small changes, like you should stop using plastic bags,
Okay.
as
Okay.
simple as that.
Okay. Sonia, yeah.
May I come in,
Sonia.
sir?
Yeah, Sonia,
Okay.
you wanna say
Yes,
something?
thank you, sis. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
So,
May I?
Yeah, next is yours.
yeah. Thanks so much. Okay, sir, I believe the question that you had asked is how to develop the TNA and not the actionables. So, if we typically look at the TNA, the first thing that we have to understand is this is a very broad topic. So, you're talking about whether, climate changes and how do we develop a TNA which tells us are our employees ready for it. When we talk about these climate changes, what actually we should be looking at is the heightened people risk. So when we look at the people risk of it, that means risk to health, risk to probably well-being, risk to livelihood. So those are the areas which would certainly be areas where we would want to, go about developing a TNA as to where is it actually, kind of hitting the employees. There are a lot of, like, my colleagues here spoke about a lot of things that can be done. But before we get on to doing those things, I think these are the three areas that we should really factor in while developing a TNA. That, of course, if there is a risk, if there's a climate change, then the main thing is that there is going to be a risk to health. So what are
Yes,
we going to be
yes,
doing about it? We are
yes.
talking about well-being, so work-life balance is also hampered. If there is a livelihood issue, then of course, I have to look at staffing. So I think there are a lot of things that will go into building this TNA.
Yeah, yeah. I
May I
see.
come in?
Can
Yeah,
I come in?
I see
May I
the
come
chat
in?
window. Yeah, yeah. I'll give you the opportunity. Give me a minute. I see the chat window wherein people have written, "We'll go for a survey." Yes, I definitely agree with you. People have written, "We will definitely go for a survey." This is a survey that needs to be done, conducted, to know to what extent are people aware about the changing climate scenario. Second is to evaluate the perception of people towards this. So your survey needs to be centered around this. Okay, now let's pause for a minute here. In your course book, please find out that there is something called as training perspective, training from employees perspective, why training is necessary. When you see the course book, there is one point which says training is necessary due to the changes in outwardly scenario, or due to the changes due to the outwardly changes that occur around us. I hope all of you have found that, or if you have not found, you can take this key point, you can search later, uh, wherein I have written, as per Uday Parekh, one of the renowned researchers in HR, he says, because of the outwardly changes, training becomes imperative, training becomes necessary. Now, because of the outwardly changes in uh, in climate, in environment, in sustainability, this sustainable training is an emerging issue, emerging point, and that becomes the point of training for us, and that becomes TNA. Now, something very practical, something very important to all of you. If you really want PG diploma by ISTD to make some difference in your professional life, go back tomorrow to your office, to your workplace, start developing a TNA on climate change and environment, or climate change, and revolve your processes around this changing scenario, because the next set of products, the next sets of services will all be eco-friendly. Now your task is humongous, it's huge, and the task is to train people, to create awareness, to sensitize people about climate change. It is just not product training, it is just not technical training, it's just not behavioral training. Yes, I know these are all very important must, but then the new phase that we are entering is a sustainable phase, and we have to develop our workforce to ensure that we mitigate the dangers of climate risks on a joint basis. Now, a few people wanted
Can I
to.
come in, please?
Yeah,
Ayushman
yeah,
this
please,
side. Can I
please.
come in?
Ayushman, yes.
May I come in, sir?
Hi.
Yeah, after
Uh,
Ayushman.
Hi, Sanjay sir. Hi. It's a very important topic which you kind of spoke about climate change. So I noticed one thing which you said: are the employees ready, right, to understand about this point? I don't think climate is such an issue where we cannot no longer at this point wait for the people to be ready to learn it at this point of time. We have to now go towards a point where they have to do it. It's not that I am not ready to learn, hence I won't learn. Hence,
Yeah,
in
so
this
that
case,
becomes a TNA. That becomes
yeah,
training
exactly.
need analysis.
Now, also I'll tell you, somebody told about survey, right? Because, and I'll tell you, in my last company, which was an agency, by the way, so I'm from a communications background. I come from an agency. I'm not from HR. Hence, I'm also learning in this, right? We conducted an internal campaign based on something similar. What we did was we did not take a survey asking the questions, because in a survey we realized everybody will be giving the most basic answers and the answers which make them feel good about themselves, or they will give the answer like, which is most acceptable. So what we did is that, and we made emailers, and we made these very pictorial emails and these charts talking about why the environment should be protected. What are you doing in your life every day? Maybe you talk about AC, maybe you talk about waste disposal, and how is it changing, or how it is deteriorating the environment in general. So we ran that email campaign for around a week or so, and what we did is that we kind of made our internal people, bombarded them with knowledge around the environment and the climate, not climate per se but the environment. Then what we did, by the end of that week, on the next like by the next week, we conducted a small, not a training session but a discussion, because we believed in our company that nobody wanted to be taught about climate and all, but everybody needs to have a very wholesome discussion. So when we had a discussion about it, then we were able to come to a consensus about taking certain steps. So I don't know if survey will be the very perfect way here,
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
honest, personally, like, because
yeah.
everybody
You have
answers. Yeah,
driven me to a point.
yeah.
You have driven me to a point which makes me request Gurvinder sir to open a slide now. Gurvinder sir, can we have the first PPT session number 1? Don't worry, I'll give the chance to everyone.
this slide, sir?
मैडम एक पीपीटी है, उसका नाम सेशन 1 है.
Yes,
I have
sir.
sent one. Yeah, yeah. उसको थोड़ा please share it on the screen.
Just a minute.
Meanwhile, can I come in?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Yeah, so being a environmental professional myself,
Oh,
so
great.
when it comes to ESG, we have been talking around a lot of things. But the first thing that if a initiative the department, the HR think that we should take about sustainability, first let us understand sustainability. Sustainability is whatever we take from the environment, we have to give it back simply. Next thing
So
is that you should approach your, if you have a your environmental department or your HSC department, have a talk with them, and if you are a ISO 14,000 company, so you have to see is the ESIA, that is the environment aspect impact assessment, has been done, because we need not go for anything other than what is there in your company. We are talking of what are the products, what are the process your company following.
In fact, this
That
also is a worthy point, because many of the organizations do not have a ESG department running actively.
Right. So
So
we
this
can
is one
inform.
takeaway. This is one takeaway for all the practicing learning and development managers, working professionals, managers, team leaders, everybody working here. The task now is to set up ESG department.
I
What is
have
ESG?
a query, Dr. Sanjay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like whatever we are discussing here, it is all all known to us. But since we all are associated with different organizations with different set of products or different set of objectives, and can we adopt a generic approach or it should be an organizational specific approach? Because
Yeah. That is why you see TNA, the point which is mentioned in the course book, TNA, training need analysis. Training need analysis is always specific. It's not generic.
that's what, because here what we are discussing is all like we need to
Yes.
save
So
electricity,
that is
we
what I'm
need
trying to tell you.
plant trees.
That is what I'm
Coming
trying
to
to tell
that
you.
point, coming to that point, sorry to interrupt. Coming to that point, once you do the environment impact assessment, so each department have their roles, and each department people has a role to play.
1 minute. Since you are associated directly with environmental impact assessment and all that, these jargons are alien to many people here. So we will avoid jargons because many people do not know what is environment impact assessment and all that. So let's restrict our thinking to the HR per se or HR domain. Okay. Now the first point of discussion here is TNA, training need analysis, is just not about product. It is just not about technique. It's just not about a particular service. It is about the outwardly changes. So this is one thing that all of us need to understand as professional trainers. Second, training need analysis or training becomes extremely imperative, important, because our skills get outdated. This is a known fact, right? All of you have. Now here is an evidence that our skills are not relevant to tackle sustainability issues because we are not aware about the terms, terminologies, keywords pertaining to sustainability. We want to make this transition from a non-sustainable phase to a sustainable phase. But to make this transition, are we prepared? Do we have enough skills? Are we aware about the necessary skills, necessary certifications, necessary knowledge for this transition? Probably no. All of us may be good in our own domain, but then the shift is so imperative, so important, so inevitable that we ought to embrace, or we ought to get acquainted with the key terminologies associated with sustainability. Agree with me? Now, what are the key terms associated with sustainability? Please take down. These are quite a few important things that I want to bring in here. Can you train people to trace their own carbon footprint? Can you prepare your people to trace their own carbon footprint that they leave behind?
I don't think so, sir.
So that's a very, sir, that needs a very, like, to be honest, if I can just say that it needs a very big behavioral change, to be honest. And I think
this is what I mean by TNA. This is what I mean by transition. This is what I mean by training need analysis. Training need analysis becomes very pertinent when we make a transition or we make a gradual shift or an incremental shift. So it is not it is just not conducting some training, conducting some survey. So it's a complete shift. So how can you prepare people? What is the new TNA? The way to prepare is teach people to trace their own carbon footprint, maybe with the help of an app, maybe with install. There are many apps available out there in the app market or in the app store. You conduct a training session, make people track their calorie intake, people track their their steps, their food intake, make people track their carbon footprint. How much carbon do they leave behind every day?
Dr. Deshpande, can I come in for a second?
Yeah, please. I'll give you the chance. Give me a chance.
Okay.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute. So we are not equipped with these necessary skills, hence training becomes necessary. I hope all of you are agreeing with me. I am just not restricting to the regular fields of HR, marketing, and finance, because all of you have been working, and it sounds hackneyed or boredom. It may induce boredom if I talk the same thing. That conduct process, conduct training, call trainer. So I don't want to be a general or a regular trainer. I'm trying to connect what is written in the course book to what is actually happening out there in the world, across the world.
Sir, I have a counterpoint to this in a way as per experience, but I will come in after Bharat.
We will have
after Bharat.
discussion
After
on
Bharat.
that.
Yeah. I'll come in
Yeah,
after Bharat.
yeah. So, okay. Okay, yes, Bharat, you have a point to
Yes.
say?
So, so my perspective, and I've done, deep-rooted analysis towards, climate change and everything as well, because it was one of my, I don't want to call it thesis or something, but I've had done a lot of research. I think it's a very complicated example to kind of give, at this moment. I think considering we're just in session 1 right now, considering, the processes. So see, everything that everyone's talking about, it's well known to everyone, right? Everyone knows about it. Everyone is aware about it. Everyone knows that we don't have to use plastic. And the reason why still everyone follows or does not follow the recommendation that comes out of all the studies that have happened is because the processes are extremely complicated. That is why it becomes more non-linear. Considering everyone who is alive right now are not going to be impacted with the harsh consequences of global warming, is why we don't even consider, as in, I don't think anyone thinks about global warming before they start their car in the morning. Or I don't even think that people, talking about carbon footprint, no one thinks about, buying a new toothbrush. When they buy a new toothbrush, they don't even think about that, every toothbrush that's ever been used on, from the day they were born, is still on the planet, and is creating a lot of pollution all around the world, right? No one thinks about that when they buy a new toothbrush. The reason is because the processes have become so complicated that no one wants to follow, and they just want to go with the most convenient option that they have. If you want to buy something, something that is you may not be able to carry in like a paper bag, anyone would just want and just simply just say, and all of the people who are currently present in this conversation, they just simply say, "Arey yaar, plastic ka thela de do na, why not?"
Yeah, the reason I have tried to consider this point of climate changes, all these points that we have discussed today. Now, the sum and substance of all this is these unknown facts or this transition should become TNA, training need analysis, for us,
I
because
agree.
that's the whole point that we are discussing now.
So
Because
just, if I may, I'm
yeah,
so sorry, if I may. So and of course, considering everyone is experienced, everyone is they have experience, some, or a little or maybe a lot of experience in training right now, but everyone is maybe here because they still don't understand TNA the way maybe you do as well. So maybe I would recommend that maybe use a simpler example when discussing TNA.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
I'll do that. Give me a minute. In fact,
Sanjay sir, if I may come in, I just wanted to echo on Bharat's point, what he just made, which is very important. Sir, I have attended a lot of training sessions in my life. I haven't taken one, but I've attended a lot, right? So from what I could understand now, and also I have attended a session where we spoke about sustainability and per se environmental change. What I understood na sir, कि हर एक का जो होता है ना training session, they are trying to get the people to do the smallest possible thing and to make the smallest behavioral change possible. अगर app भी है ना, you might say that to trace your carbon footprint, an app is easy, but it is not. Whereas if you install two dustbins, one of red color and the other of green, that is a much more easier way to kind of start select people on the process towards sustainability. So wherever I have seen the training sessions or I've been in these sessions, they have always tried to propagate the easiest possible way to reach the goal.
No.
So that's what I was just thinking in terms of.
No. Give me a minute.
Sir, I have a doubt.
This example of using an app or making people install an app to trace the carbon footprint was one such instance or one such example that you can think of, because you will be future trainers and I want you to conduct training programs in your organizations tomorrow after this PG diploma program gets over, or during the course of PG diploma program, wherein your focus is to change the mindset of people, to bring in that behavioral change, to make that transition in their minds that we are proceeding towards, or we are heading towards a sustainable era. Now this transition or this shift itself is a point of TNA.
Understood, sir. Yeah, completely understood.
So
You
I
get
have
it?
a doubt, sir. Sir,
Yeah, we'll
Deshpande,
keep doubts at the end. Let me go with the flow for some time. So this itself becomes a point of transition, and that to make that transition, you will find that there is a lot of vacuum, there is a lot of gap, and that gap, in other words, is training need analysis. My whole point was this. All of you agree with me on this?
I agree with you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, agree.
I agree with you. And so there are even government, like for example, they have banned.
And you try doing this. You try doing this tomorrow. If there is a spare time, if time permits, you try and assemble 20-30 people, call them for a workshop, call them for a training program, call them for a discussion session, and try to change their mindset. Try to change their mindset and try talking about sustainability, try talking about climate change. You will find it very hard because the bases are not clear, the roots are not clear. Okay, now the next point that we will take up for our discussion is training evaluation, or in other words, Kirkpatrick's training evaluation model. Okay, Gurvinder sir, can we have the slide please on the screen?
Sorry to interrupt.
This slide, sir?
Ma'am, I have sent you one PPT which says session 1.
Yes, session
name
1
of
is
the-
sorry?
Yeah. The name of the PPT is, the PPT file is session 1. Can you display it? Can you share it on the screen?
सेशन 1 की सीटी कौन सी है? ये सेशन 1
Krishna Jha ji, yeah, I will explain what is TNA to you in a very simple way. Don't worry. The last 10 minutes. Okay. Training need analysis is finding out the gap where people lack. For example, if you hire a set of painters, if you run a paint industry and you hire a set of painters for your organization, and these painters do not know what are the different types of paints, they come from rural background, right? So that becomes training need analysis.
So sorry to interrupt. Which slide do you want to see, sir?
Slide number 8. Yes, the same one. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this it. I want all of you to please have a look at this model. This is Kirkpatrick's training evaluation model, and we will have deliberations and discussion on this. Screen bada kijiye, Gurvinder sir. Please go for full screen.
The full screen है सर ये.
Sir, it's already there on page number 3. If anybody is not able to see, they can follow the book. You can do it on slideshow. It's not slideshow. Right.
The slide is not in full mode, sir.
Yeah. I will help you understand. You can just zoom it a little and let us understand what is this Kirkpatrick training evaluation. Has anyone worked on this?
Yes.
Any time before?
I haven't worked, but I know, have read the model before. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm aware of the model. Yeah.
Anyone who has used it practically? I have used it practically. My 5 years of research has gone into this model. Okay.
Yeah, so in bits and parts.
Yeah. Okay. I was talking about bringing in change in the mindset of people. Now the next challenge associated with that is how do you do it in an experiential way? How do you do it in an experiential way? Meaning, how will you give hands-on? How will you provide or impart hands-on training to people across the organization? Is it just a lecture or a theory, or in other words, how will you bring that? How will you make people feel the pulse of this training program? That is called as experiential learning. Let me extend the challenge. Let me or make the case a bit more complex purposely. Now, let's assume that TNA was, people are not aware about climate change. Hence, we need to conduct some training program on climate change. We need to sensitize people about the changing risks. Right? You conducted one training program. Now, this is a time. Now it's time to evaluate that training program. Was this training program efficient? Did it give the expected result? To evaluate the training programs that you conduct in your organization, you can make use of this model, and we'll work on this model for the remaining part of the session. Does that sound well? Does that go well with you?
Dr. Deshpande, sorry to interrupt. Means what I wanted to understand. Means we started with a discussion on TNA.
Yeah.
From where it comes, means what are the elements that are affecting it. We have focused on that. And now we have moved to the evaluation part of the Patrick's model. Yes, we might have used it in teach and bits, but we don't have that holistic.
Yeah, we will learn it now. We will learn it now.
Yeah, that's it. Means if I don't know, going forward, are we going to discuss more about TNA? Means if we talk about the gap areas, are we going to
gaps were analyzed, gaps were collected. After having understood a particular gap, let's assume that you have conducted a training program on climate change.
I understand. Means that I understand. Means are we going to discuss on how effectively we can use how effectively we can do this TNA going forward? Are there dedicated sessions?
No. 1 minute. You're asking me a question, something like this, that we have found an egg. The chicken has come out. It has grown big. And will we talk about egg again? These terminologies always go hand in hand. They are not mutually exclusive. They are mutually complementary. So time and again, they'll be connect and reconnect with TNA and evaluation.
Okay. Got your point.
So these are not mutually exclusive. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. So friends, I want to keep it very simple. This is called as Kirkpatrick's training evaluation model. This has 4 steps in it, or 4 stages in it, or 4 levels in it. The first level is reaction. I'm going to make you work on this shortly. The second level is learning. The third is behavior. And the fourth is result. One lacuna or one general point that I see across organizations is training calendar is set at the start of calendar year or financial year. Training programs are scheduled. Training calendar is well drafted, well crafted. Trainings are executed. A lot of budget is earmarked and spent as well for conducting variety of training programs. But as far as evaluation is concerned, there is a vacuum. This is my observation from my research. Evaluation, it's a big question mark. How many organizations go on to evaluate their training programs? Probably very few. Very few. And you as trained professionals now should be able to evaluate the training programs that you have been a part of. I mean, organizing committee in capacity of a member of organizing committee and a practicing training manager or a practicing learning and development professional. I will explain the key terminologies, and after which you will have to work and develop evaluation questions based on this, or questions for evaluation based on this. The first level speaks about reaction. Now, what is reaction is very simple. How did the trainees respond to a training program? For instance, tomorrow you gather about 25 people or to 30 people in your organization. After following the protocol that you give them some time, assemble, all that, fine. Training was conducted for a period of 3 days on some topic. If you want, or if you think that climate change is difficult, complex, intricate, you can consider any topic. Suppose a training was conducted. How did the trainees respond to the training program? What was their reaction? Were they enthusiastic? Were they curious? Were they inquisitive? Were they tepid? Were they lukewarm? Were they not interested? Did they ignore? Did they shirk off? Did they show some lethargy? What was the response? How did the trainees respond? Getting me? Now, this level must have some questions. This level must have some questions like, what do you feel about the training program? You can give some options: interesting, not interesting, boring. So what was the response shown? For instance, when you take a kid to a bakery, right? What is the reaction that a kid generally expresses? Or you take to a sweet shop or a confectionery shop or a bakery. Kids typically show some response. They get excited, some don't get excited. So what is the initial response that they expressed or showed? Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Okay. Level number 2 is learning. How much did the participants learn from the training program? Have their skills improved? Now, learning is generally change in the knowledge level. For example, I turn back to the previous case of climate change. Suppose there was a training program on climate change and many new concepts were discussed there. For example, carbon neutralization, decarbonization, carbon footprint, SDG goals, 1.5 degrees. These were the terminologies which were expressed or used time and again. And people got to know, the trainees got to know that sustainability means all these concepts using which sustainability can be tracked: wastewater treatment, carbon emission, greenhouse gases, chlorofluorocarbons. So these are all the new additions that have happened to their vocabulary, to their knowledge base. So these are the learnings that they have taken. So what did the trainees learn? New concepts, new method, new process, new technique. Okay. The third stage is behavioral stage. Have participants applied to their work or to their profile? Now in the previous case, I said change in the knowledge level. Has there been some change in the level of their knowledge? And the next stage in behavior, have they implemented it? Have they applied it? Have they executed it? And the last one finally is, what are the results? What are the results? Are you getting me?
These have time frames, right? Like a few feedback I can get on the spot, like the same day. The remaining will take some time. So there's some like time frame,
Yes.
result,
Yeah.
behavior. Okay.
Yeah. I'm coming to that. But are you aware about or did you understand this model?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I have
Suppose
one query. Sir, how can we evaluate behavior of the audience?
In fact, that is a task which I want to give you after having explained what
Okay,
is this.
sure. Thank
Yeah, we will understand with the help of an exercise. Okay, we will evaluate, or we'll understand with the help of an exercise. Is that okay? But
Sure,
are you
sir.
aware
Thanks.
about the conceptual clarity? Now, have you got conceptual clarity?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What is level 1? What is 2? What is 3? What is 4?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That is clear, sir.
Clear? Okay.
Yes.
I know it's very difficult. In fact, only because it's difficult, all of us are here to learn and we are spending our time. Okay. Now, point number 1. I presume that all of you have paid attention and you have understood this model. Now, let's say the training was on take this example. Government of Karnataka, or government of India for that matter, conducted a training program on benefits of electric vehicles to the economy and environment. So the training program was on benefits of electric vehicles to the economy and environment. 3 days training program, and the audiences were, or the trainees were, business heads of many organizations or cross-domain organizations, people from all walks of life, meaning across domains, people were a part of this training program. The training was for 3 days. Offline training, 1-to-1. Now, as trainers, as students of PG diploma, as future trainers, I want to give you a task to evaluate this training program with the help of this model. Can you do that? If yes, how do you do it?
Sir, evaluate it in case of questionnaire or like...
That is up to you. I'm giving you this task. You can make use of this model. Slowly, I will break it down.
Dr. Deshpande, can I?
So, Apeksha this side.
Yeah, Apeksha.
Yes. So with this Kirkpatrick 4-layer module, the first layer says the reaction. So the reaction can be
You can
captured
take your
via.
time. You can take your time, prepare a model or prepare a specific way, and then you can come back. I'll give you some time to think on. You can take 7 to 8 minutes to think on this.
Can you please repeat the question once?
The answer,
Sorry?
if I may.
Sir, can you repeat the question once?
Okay. Government of India has conducted a training program on benefits of electric vehicles to Indian economy and environment, wherein they have spoken or they have dealt exclusively about the benefits of electric vehicles or benefits that EVs provide to the economy and environment. A lot of deliberations, lot of discussions have happened. Now, you are supposed to evaluate this training, 3-day training program. There were a set of trainees who were invited. There were sessions. The topic is already told to you. Now, if you were asked to evaluate this training program, how will you do? It becomes very vague. So to cut that vagueness, or to help you understand, or to get a framework or a tool to evaluate training program, I am sharing across this model for your reference. Using this reference model, you can evaluate. Can you evaluate? If yes, how do you do that?
Sir, can I come in?
Sir,
with the answer?
Take your time. Take your time. Don't be in hurry. Take your time. Take 7 to 8 minutes. Prepare a comprehensive plan to evaluate. If required.
Dr. Deshpande, Bharat, if I may, done.
Tell me, Bharatji.
Okay, right. So the first is reaction. I'm going to keep it brief. The first is reaction.
Take
how
your time.
the leaders.
Take your time. Please take your time. Please take your time. Work on it for 5 to 6 minutes. Don't be in hurry. Take your time. Reaction is the first step. You will measure how people have responded, how people have reacted to this. Second is what people have learned. New concepts, new knowledge. Third is behavior. Have they have they implemented? Finally, what are the results? Finally, what are the results? Sounds interesting to work on?
Yes, sir.
You're all free to think, Surta Mehta ji, you're all free to think at your own discretion. Come up with the best plan to evaluate this training program. You can make use of this model, the steps of this model. Yeah. Yeah, Bharatji, tell me if you are. Yes, Bharatji, tell me, you were making a point.
Right. So the first is the reaction, how the leaders react to the training program. If they are willing, how enthused they are, that can be captured with a simple feedback form, which can be captured before the training and after the training, and compared the
Okay.
results.
What will this feedback form have?
This feedback form,
What kind of questions will you have in this?
the questions that we'll have in this is going to be open-ended questions, which are going to be W and H questions. What did you like the most about the training program? What is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
Go
you
ahead.
wanna
Go
say
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. What is it that you liked about it? What is it that you would want to change about the particular program? What is that one thing that differentiates this particular training program from all the other training programs that you've had? This can actually give us, because we're taking the feedback pre and post, it'll give us a good comparative evaluation as well.
Okay. Okay. In your third or in your last semester, you will come across a paper called research methods. Okay, wherein you will learn that whenever you want to evaluate something, open-ended questions are a strict no, because it becomes very difficult to code them and it becomes very difficult to quantify or express them. For instance, many managers say that one thing that I liked about this training program is this. How do you express that in the form of a chart or a table or a picture or an image or a chart? How do you express that?
Can I come?
I think so. Having multiple choice questions.
Yeah, 1 minute.
would be the
1 minute.
best.
Since this question was specific to Bharatji, I'm just continuing my discussion. Of course, I'll give chance to everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So I think it's again, it depends on who the person is, and then they can have individual assessments of the feedback that has come in.
No, yeah, that is why when you evaluate training programs, the evaluation has to be very specific. I have told you that these are business managers and these are business heads. For instance, when your papers are being evaluated, the evaluation process is very simple. 10-mark questions, 5-mark questions, 7-mark questions, 10-mark questions. There are the criteria specific. Evaluation is also very specific. As a researcher, having done my PhD for 6 years, one simple learning is whenever there is evaluation, there has to be proper scaling, there has to be proper indexing. Questions have to be very specific. The questions should be non-dichotomous, meaning yes or no question should be avoided. I liked, I did not like. The evaluation ends there.
So can I come up with the complete answer?
Yeah, yes, please, Arun. Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, see, when you are talking of this, the example which you have given, first I will focus on the question, the level 4, that is the benefits. So before going to the benefits, we have to plan.
No, you should always start with KG1, KG2.
No, I will start
first
with
and-
one, sir. So let me explain. We will start with one, but I am saying that for 4, in this case, we have to have a time period of 6 months. In this case, for example, let me take the example, and then the HR should think of, or the organization should think of what is the benefit they are going to do by this example. Then we will come to number 1, where we will say that when the training is being conducted, in between in the training hall, we will keep one observer, and he will have an evolution form to see
what if there is bias? What if this person is biased? This observer is biased.
the observer will be selected based on the criteria which is defined, like he should be a neutral person, all those things.
No. If you really need an observer, then this evaluation model is of no help.
Okay.
Sir, can I say something?
So one question here.
Yeah, please.
Apekshit aside. So the moment we say that we are measuring or evaluating or assessing the level 1, it's the instant reaction we are capturing. So rather than having a pre or post mechanism here at the level 1, it should be at level 2, so that we can gauge a difference between the participant learning levels. What was their pre-training and what is there post-training. The instant reaction, as you rightly
How do you
mentioned, when you were,
capture it?
yeah. So
how do you
which one?
capture the response?
Level
How-
one.
Level one. How do
Yeah,
you capture the response?
So level one, as you said, the target population is business heads. So that means they are very well aware of how their business
No,
runs.
it is a presumption. It could be a presumption that they are well aware.
Yeah.
In,
So
in research and evaluation, there is no presumption. For
Okay,
instance, when
so-
I am evaluating your papers tomorrow, when you write the SEM term or SEM and examination,
Mhm.
no evaluator goes out there with the presumption that these people must have done well or these people must not have done well.
So yes, so at the reaction level, the very first question we should ask in that feedback form is that how was the program? Now, when we say how was the program, we can put layers to it in terms of the responses. It met my expectation, it didn't meet my expectation, and how it went. And similarly, the moment we set that base of question, then we move further in terms was whether the trainer was able to explain himself or herself in terms of defining the concept and clarity. And there also layer can be there.
Yes,
Yeah.
let me help you to understand in case anyone wants to chip in with their views. Otherwise, I will.
So can I take up Ayushman?
Yes.
So yeah, sir, thank you so much. If you can give me 2 minutes in this, right? And please
Yeah.
understand that some of my answers kind of might look a bit stupid because I'm not from an HR background, so I'm learning.
No,
this.
that's fine. That's fine.
Thank you so much. So one of the major, some of the basic reactions about like the first level reaction, what I have understood is, as I have been through many training sessions, right? And I have also wrote some materials for them, although I did not conduct it. Basic reaction ऐसा होता है कि लोग आ रहे कि नहीं आ रहे, sir. Because even if you give a feedback form, right? And if you give them the
लोग आए
like
हैं, लोग आए हैं, people have come.
So that's also maybe a reaction, because even if you give them a feedback form, did you learn or not, or did you like it or not? I have a very high feeling being in the audience of many training sessions that they say कि हाँ मतलब हमने सीखा भी नहीं है, but we are still giving them a very we are saying we have I really liked it. Okay, they are giving the best possible answer, like maybe in a feedback format, and which is very. And if you take that data, it is not exactly right, because many people will be like, हाँ हमने बहुत कुछ सीखा है, trainer बहुत मस्त था, हमने best answer दिया है. So the whole point is, number one reaction will be, sir, if I can take level one, is that how many people are actually arriving to this? Because as per this, if you take as per this point, it is not something which is mandatory. Many business heads are being called.
Let me tell you. You have made the right point. For the benefit of everybody,
yes,
this reaction can be measured by splitting it further into 3 heads.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a very practical approach, all of you, right? Reaction towards the trainer, reaction towards the training content, reaction towards the type of training. Am I helping you to get something, learn something?
So these are these are those feedback questions, right? Again?
Yes. Feedback questions should be based on these categories to prevent bias. Reaction towards, listen to me, I'm answering all your questions. Reaction towards the trainer, meaning what was the knowledge level of the trainer? How did the trainer teach? How did the trainer conduct the session? So reaction towards trainer. Second, reaction towards the training content. How was the training content? Innovative, contemporary, outdated? Okay. And third, what was the training methodology adopted? Reaction towards training methodology. Was it exercise based? Was it lecture based? Was it classroom based? So reaction towards training methodology. Now, for these 3 things, you can form some questions. And these questions should always be closed-ended with multiple scaling. Like satisfaction survey is done. Completely satisfied. Complete, strongly agree, neither agree nor disagree, strongly disagree. There has to be a scale, a bandwidth, so that you give options for people. You don't restrict them to a particular response. Yes or no, matlab, when you say yes or no, the process stops there. So for reaction, you can split it into 3 halves or 3 categories: reaction towards trainer, reaction towards content, reaction towards a method of training. And for every category here, form some questions.
So which means that this is actually evaluating the trainer first and then
You are evaluating trainer, you are evaluating content, you are also evaluating the method of training. So the reaction, when you say, it is a comprehensive approach that people just don't react towards one particular thing. The reaction is towards content, method, duration, all that. Okay, next, learning. There can be a set of questions here wherein you can have again a Likert scale, or you can also have multiple options given. What did you learn? New concepts. For example, I say that electric vehicles contribute to Indian economy by reducing our export bill. Our import bill, meaning suppose we use more and more electric vehicles, we don't have to import crude oil, so that our import bill can be reduced and we can save a lot of money that goes to the Middle East for the crude oil that India purchases. If more of EVs are run, then the crude oil or import bill is reduced. So that is a contribution to Indian economy, benefit of EVs to Indian economy. Now, this was something that people were not aware of. So they learned something about economy, they learned something about import, they learned something about how bill can be saved and how we can improve our country. Something for environment, obviously pollution. This is a known fact that EVs don't emit toxic gases like carbon, so they are eco-friendly. But economy, probably they were not aware. So what did they learn? They learned something about, or they acquired something about key concepts. They learned something about this. The third one, did they go on to buy an electric vehicle for their staff? Did they really get convinced? Did they buy vehicles for office commutation? Did they buy one for themselves, for their personal use? If it's a large campus, for on-campus commutation, have they purchased electric vehicles or electric cycles, electric bicycles? Did they go on to buy? So that's behavioral change that can be observed in case they have bought. Or have they placed an order? Have they actually bought?
So that will come in results.
Yeah, results we will come. Behavioral changes, have they made up their mind at least to buy electric vehicles after the training program?
I have a question for you.
Yeah, I will give scope for all the questions. Let me complete. Have they made up their mind to buy electric vehicles after the training program is over? Have they booked? Suppose there were stalls already set up so that people can immediately buy. Were the stalls set up there? Were the stalls ready there? Have they made up their mind? Have they placed order? Okay, now coming to results. The result was just not for themselves. Now this person who bought, or this business head who bought about 20 vehicles for his office, now goes on to recommend electric vehicles in his friends, in his social circle. He not only does it for himself, he is now persuading others to go for electric vehicles, his neighbors, his social circles. That could be an extraordinary result. So
Sir,
they
can I?
become brand ambassadors of EV vehicles. So this training program was just not there to improve knowledge. This training program has now created ambassadors.
Sir, two succinct points which I wanted to make regarding this actually. Sir, in the case of behavior, as you spoke about the fact that in the results you're saying that these guys are becoming brand ambassadors, right? So number one, I feel that that should be also under behavior, because that's also kind of, they are behaving in a way to kind of like basically it's a behavior that they're doing after the training.
This is one
what the
example.
result can be. So what the result can be, I just wanted to just say key. The result can be that number one is that in terms of economy, that how many people are buying, has the amount of people buying EV have gone up. Maybe the revenue, from the whole electronic vehicle department has gone up in total. And secondly, we can also maybe measure the pollution levels of certain cities and etc., where we can understand that due to vehicular pollution in these cities, other pollution levels have gone down because people have bought more EV vehicles. Maybe that can be also
that is why I have given you a reference point. You can say this was the new import bill which stands reduced after the training program. This is the number of vehicles EV sold after a large scale training program was organized. You can consider import bill, you can consider number of vehicles sold, you can consider pollution levels. So you can set criteria. I'm just giving you one example.
Yeah, got it. Also, sir, in this case, I just wanted to understand, as the example that you have given of EV, right? And you're talking about the other level 2 of learning. I was wondering, sir, shouldn't the level 2 of learning come after the level 4 here? Because if you think about the fact that after 6 months, if we don't see any results of the pollution levels coming down and EVs are not being sold, then can we come to a point where we can see the fact that out of this training, nobody's really learned anything? So should level 2 come after level 4?
No. This is a model which is proved, tried and tested for over 50 years now. The answer to your question is the training has to be redone or the training has to be repeated. It starts from all over again. It starts from scratch again.
So I have a question that is that after level 2, so while going to level 3, how participants applied. So does the government also have the responsibility? People are interested to buy the vehicles, but there's no infrastructure for charging or battery station. So in between, this should be developed so it will make
these are the constraints. These are the constraints which can be a part of your questionnaire. I did make up my mind to buy EV. However, some constraints inhibited me, stopped me. What are those constraints? What are those constraints? So behavioral change did not happen because of these constraints or because of these bottlenecks. That can also be a part of your research study. That can also be a part of your evaluation method or evaluation process.
So for the evaluation process, so this is Radhika this side. I just wanted to ask for the evaluation process, is it possible that for before we start a training, we have a questionnaire in hand that gives you that asks you the level of knowledge or knowledge that
that is called as
like for
then the
carbon
then the title should change as comparative study or comparative evaluation of pre and post.
Yeah, exactly. So once you give a questionnaire out at the starting of the program, and then you
the trainer is all free. The trainer is all at his or her liberty to conduct evaluation process as per the need.
Yeah.
As per the need.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
Yeah.
So the
this
same
also
process. The same process all of you can follow for the training programs that you organize or conduct for your staff members in your respective organizations. I have given you a larger example. You can make use of this model. You can make use of this model in your respective organization as well. Did you
Excuse
understand?
me, sir. Just read this side, sir. Can you please put example for like what would be the questions in pre-assessment or pre-evaluation form?
Level of knowledge, level of awareness, level of study, or to what extent do you know about EV? To
Sometimes
what
the
extent?
pre and post evaluation have exactly the same questions to gauge the level of learning. That is to gauge the level two.
Then the impact is very simple. No subsequent or no significant increase in the knowledge level of people.
Sir, Partha Vishwas, sir, I want to ask you.
Please ask.
Yeah, sir. Now in training and development, this evaluation is a very, very, very important part and a very tough part because
Yes.
What I have experienced, like at level one, most of the organizations they find it is quite doable for this level one. They can do it. Now level two also to some extent the
Yes,
organizations
absolutely.
but
Your
level
reflections, your reflections are absolutely acceptable, and your reflections are absolutely true to a great extent. Because level 3 and level 4, you will not believe. You will not believe I'm throwing this challenge to all of you that the mother of all banks, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, has mentioned it in its report, in one of its reports, that they are finding it very difficult to evaluate beyond level number 3.
Sir,
RBI
now
itself has expressed this.
yes, sir. In a normal organization in Indian context, because I have worked in India, so I will tell about Indian context. Now, the organization does not have any idea about how to do.
Exactly. That is what is our contribution. That is what is expected. That is what is expected out of us, because we are studying or we are going through this PG diploma program. That is what is expected out of us as trained professionals. We should be able to contribute to the training space, to the training domain, to the L&D arena.
Right,
Sir,
now just a second, just a second. Now, my question is, sir, for evaluation at level 1, we can set a 5-point Likert scale as we have told that strongly agree, no response, and
I
disagree,
have
strongly
given
disagree.
a broad guideline. I have given a general indication that it is better to have a bandwidth. It is better to have a bandwidth. You can have other options also. It is
Yes, sir,
generally good.
that we do. So that we do, like either it is a 3-point or a 5-point scale. Now, when we are going to level 2 or level 3, now how do we measure that? I mean, is it all
Yes.
subjective?
I will.
Objective way of measuring it. We need to learn that. Sir. That is very important.
Yes,
How to do that.
I will. Good that you asked me this question. I will share my research study in the next session. I will tell you, I'll show, I'll display the questionnaire which was developed for my research, which will help you to understand what kind of questions can be asked at level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. You can develop a similar questionnaire for your respective organization using this model or referring to this model.
Thank you so much, sir. And more so, sir, when we are doing some technical or some training which can be measured, which are measurable, that still we can go up to level 3. But when there is a behavioral training, it is even more difficult to evaluate how the effectiveness of the training.
It is certainly very difficult. To overcome that difficulty, to have some ease, as far as the difficulty is concerned, we need a model, we need a reference point. So that is why Kirkpatrick training evaluation serves as a reference model. This is a general reference model using which you can frame questions based on objectives of the training program. See, every training program will have an objective. This training program was designed for this purpose. So your questions have to be based on the objectives that you had set before the training program.
Right.
I have a question. Can I quickly pose it?
Yes, please.
So as we mentioned for reaction, level 1 reaction, we have feedback forms. Similarly, as you move up the ladder for learning, behavioral and results, can we use different means of, different metrics of evaluating it? For example, in learning, in behavior, it could be assessments. In results, it could be, so I think,
but how do you, yeah, you can use different methods, but how do you collate the findings, and how do you give an overall, how do you give a complete picture after collating?
So I think jotting down observations at each level and bringing it together.
But it's very difficult to express in terms
I
of
completely understand.
numbers. Yes.
I understand.
Yes, so by observation method, 5 people can observe it in 5 minutes.
It's something like this, you know. You're out there to attend a business meeting, and you go there wearing slippers and you wear a blazer. So there is a mismatch. The way you project yourself by wearing a blazer is being professional, and you go out there on sleepers. So there is a mismatch. So this is what happens when you use different metrics for different methods. They don't collate well.
By any chance, do we have any other metric used along with
that itself is a challenge before us to understand. PG diploma should teach you that. PG diploma should train you on that. That's what is the takeaway. That's what is the learning. PG diploma should make some difference to you and to all of us.
Sir Partho, this side.
Yes.
I have a question. Going back to the case study which you have thrown, this EV, the government project, EV, how it is how it could impact to our economy and environment. So, suppose if we develop a questionnaire for this project, which is cross-functional in nature, that how they are planning to implement their learnings in their respective organization to bring a revolution, might be in EV. Different set of questionnaires. So my question is that would come under
behavior,
behavior or results.
Behavior.
Okay.
Behavior.
Okay. Thank you.
Behavior.
Sir, this is Abdul Nizam. Yeah, can I summarize my understanding? First, this as per the Kirkpatrick model, in the first level of reaction, we will have a multiple scaling options.
Yes.
Whatever question we are asking, we will have a multiple scaling options.
Yes.
As you stated. And the second level of learning, we can implement pre-test and post-test for understanding before the training what was their knowledge level. After the knowledge, what would be the knowledge level.
Yes.
And the behavioral, with the level number 3, behavior means that is applicable after some time because the participant has been completed the program. That time we can implement evaluation or assessment.
Yes.
And the fourth level, that is a result level. So there we can apply mystery shopping or something like that.
Yeah. Yes, you can, or you can take help of the numbers. For example, a number of vehicles bought,
market
share, or you can also say, you can also trace in from the government of India, Ministry of Transport, how many vehicles were sold, how many vehicles were registered, is there any increase in the number of vehicles plying on the roads, what is the tax
what is
that
the
was
growth
given?
level, that industry growth level, we can take it.
Yes, so that
absolutely
that is output or the result.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so I hope things are clear. Somebody did not understand TNA. I intentionally gave a very tough option for all of you to think on, because I wanted I wanted to enter a different domain, a difficult domain to enter. That's why we started with TNA for climate change and environmental protection or climate change. The reason was very simple. We have to think in different directions. Every day we think about our office, our domain, our regular sphere, but we have to think something different so that we can evolve models, we can learn something new. I know it was difficult, it was complex, but we are here to get exposed to something that we are not aware of. That's the very purpose of our learning. That is why this new domain was thrown across, or this new sphere was thrown across. I'm thankful that all of you participated very well. I hope this session has given you something new to think on, and something new to participate, something new to incorporate in your respective organizations.
Definitely yes.
Definitely, Dr. Deshpande.
Sir, could you please share your email ID? There's an assimilation program which I'm developing for all the new employees at our organization. And definitely have you referred to this Kirkpatrick evaluation model, wherein on the 15th day of a person joining us, we conduct an assimilation day-long program. And like you mentioned, we are rolling out a quick feedback form, capturing, the quality of the content, the presenters, how well the time was managed, and, any suggestions, how we could give you, deliver a better experience. So that is with respect to the reaction, and for the level 2, which is learning part, designed a quiz.
Okay. And let me make it very practical here. In case you want to introduce sustainable modules or sustainable training for your organization, I'll be more than happy to assist you or to be a part of your planning process. Suppose you want to introduce sustainable, by the way, small deviation, I've posted my email ID in the chat window. You can refer to that. I was talking about my inclination, my willingness to get associated with any of you and your organization in case you want to develop, introduce sustainable modules or sustainable development modules in your respective organizations as far as climate change or global warming, sustainable development, any of these areas are concerned, I'll be more than happy to develop a module for you. I do that for quite a few organizations, and I'm a certified climate change specialist from United Nations organization. So I'll be more than happy to offer my services to your respective organizations in case you're planning to introduce these modules in your organizations.
Very happy to know that, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. So thank you so much for your attention, for your participation. We will meet next week again.
Sir, if you could also share your mobile number, we have our WhatsApp group, and we could also add you in that. We already have Anita ma'am and Amit sir.
Yeah, I think my number is already available in 87th batch WhatsApp group, which
Sure,
is
sir.
for...
I'll look at that and I'll add.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your participation. We will discuss more. Yeah, Yatindraji, you said Aru, return on investment, return on learning, everything we will discuss.
Sure, sir. Sure.
We will cover everything.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that these sessions will help you to introduce new modules and be a different trainer and in a different space. That's why all this, all these rigorous efforts are for that.
Right, sir.
All this approach, all these efforts are to make you different trainers and explore new avenues.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. See you all next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.